Oh, hey buddy, it's your old pal Scott, and this is Let's Talk Tabletop. Now, when we think about new players getting into the wargaming hobby, or more specifically into Warhammer, I can come up with about 4 major hurdles that they have to overcome in order to actually get into the hobby. Well, luckily for them, and hopefully you, I have a couple solutions for it that are mostly legal, and it'll help you get into the hobby. So, let's dive into it. So the first of the problems that I see people run into is the price. The price of Warhammer is obviously at an extreme high, and it's very cost prohibitive for people to start. If you were paying full retail price for your entire army and you wanted to make like a 1,500, 2,000 point army, you're probably talking $1,000. You're probably paying 50 cents a point in your list, probably. Now, there is a lot of ways you can get around that, though. There's Start Collecting and other box sets that are like the Spearhead detachments, etc., that they are at a discount, which, of course, any discount is better than nothing, right? So if you can get 10, 20, 30%, go ahead and do it. But there's other ways as well. Many stores, either online or in real life, also give discounts. So if you're getting a discount on a starter box, obviously that's a much, much better deal, right? There's also eBay, secondhand stuff. Generally, eBay you can get if you're searching up a specific unit that you want, and it's used, it's already assembled, whatever. You can generally get them for 40% off, generally. If you buy a big lot like an entire army, you can get it 50% off. If you're willing to drop $500 on what's essentially $1,200 worth of merchandise. Now, sometimes the bidding on those things get a little high, but that is definitely an option. Another option, of course, is resin printing. There are a million different miniatures lines online that are 40K or Age of Sigmar adjacent, right? Hopefully they don't get shut down for being too close to the IP. But you actually can get pretty good looking models that are really good proxies for Warhammer miniatures. One thing you got to check there is, are your friends okay with proxies, and is your store okay with proxies? Also, buying it among your community is another option, where you can get some real sweetheart deals from someone who likes you and likes to see you play the hobby and are just willing to give you something or give it to you at a very fair price. Now, the elephant in the room is that Warhammer is not the only miniature game in the entire world, and generally when you're talking $6 to $8 a model for Warhammer, many other games are much cheaper than that, especially if you're going to get into historicals. Historicals can be as low as like 50 cents a model, maybe $1 a model, and but I understand that historicals are not everybody's thing. But if you're willing to do that, that historicals are definitely by far the cheapest. But Mantic, I've spoke about Mantic games before. They're like Games Workshop is up here, Mantic is the next one. Mantic has a lot of good value in their miniatures. So the price, I mean, if you get into any hobby, you're going to run into price problems, right? You want to go golfing, you want to do the RC car thing, you want to go surfing, you want to go bike riding or skateboarding. Anything has some price, but you definitely have more options than ever to reduce the price of Warhammer or just play a different game. Bolt Action, Conflict 47, Mantic Games, Malifaux, there's a million, Infinity. There's a million games that are much more affordable than Warhammer. Having said that, another issue, here's where Warhammer is actually beneficial to play. The community is item number 2 on this hurdle list. The community is obviously easiest to find if you're doing Warhammer. If you're doing Conflict 47 or you're doing Malifaux or you're doing any of these others, then it's going to be harder for you to find a community because Warhammer is the big guy in the room, okay? So if you go to nearly any gaming store or comic store, you can go, hey, do you guys play Warhammer? And more than likely they have a club or a Discord that you can join or whatever. I mean, it's almost guaranteed, right? But if you, that would be like asking, do they play Magic? Probably. I mean, more than likely, right? But if you ask for any of these ancillary games, it's extremely locally dependent. You might have a massive Star Wars Legion community. You might have a massive Conflict 47 group. You might play literally anything, but it really does depend on the community. So you need to find a community that plays the game that you want to play, but you can also make your own community. If you really want to play, let's say, Malifaux, right? What you do is you buy 2 armies, 2 warbands, and then you start advertising it at the store. Say, hey, I want to teach people to play Malifaux. Or you go on their Discord and go, hey, I want to teach people to play Malifaux. Or, hey, free Malifaux demo day for anybody that's interested. Or you start going to the game night where they play Warhammer, etc., and start going, hey, does anybody want to play Malifaux? And you already have the 2 forces and you can play a demo. I was just discussing this on the Brutality Discord, and if you can't find a gaming group to join, sometimes you have to make it. And that's just, unfortunately, a lot of us are not cut out for that sort of thing. We don't want the social awkwardness or whatever. You're afraid to put yourself out there, and that's completely understandable. But it depends on how much you want it. Now, another thing that circumvents literally all of this is things like Tabletop Simulator. The community, even if you're in Germany and the other guy is in Texas and the other guy is in Singapore, and you're all, I don't know how you're going to schedule that, but as long as you all speak the same language, you can play on Tabletop Simulator for free, and that includes Warhammer, etc. Now, it's not exactly legal, and they keep getting shut down, but it's a possibility in this day and age. So, if you don't have a group that is nearby, make one. Start one. Another issue people find with Warhammer, a big hurdle, is the constant rules changing. Like, let's say I'm a new player. I buy a codex off the shelf and don't realize that there's a new edition coming out very shortly, and, oh, wait, my book doesn't mean anything now? Or you buy a book like the Imperial Guard or the Leagues of Votan books from years past, and all of a sudden, oh, wait, half my book doesn't work anymore? Like, you've FAQ'd everything? That can be very frustrating. So the thing to do is there's many, many places to get the rules for free from Warhammer. It's pretty much everyone knows about it. Wahapedia has all of the rules for free. And during certain seasons of Warhammer, you can get the rules for free from Games Workshop through their app, etc. If they're still a what's called an index entry, they will give the rules for free until they come out with a book, and then you're supposed to buy the book and pay for the app, which is another hurdle in itself. But the point is, where there's a will, there's a way. If your friend has the codex, photocopy it and keep it for yourself. There's no money being exchanged, nothing like that. If you want to go online and find it, whatever. It's just what it is. I'm not encouraging you to do it, but there are ways to get the rules without constant rules changes and having to keep up with them constantly. Another thing is that other games that aren't Warhammer don't have updates and FAQs every other day, and you're fine with it. You know, you don't have to follow the constant churn. So either play another game, or there's ways that you can get around having to buy a book every 5 seconds and follow the FAQs. There are ways around it. Wink. And the fourth one on this list is complexity. Now, when I joined Warhammer a decade and a half ago, more than, the game was pretty complex. You compared weapon skill, you compared initiative, and you even you had a little formula for ballistic skill, how you hit something. It was 7 minus your ballistic skill is what you needed to roll that or higher to hit, etc. It was pretty complex. There was armor facings and armor penetration and all of that. This day and age, I don't really consider Warhammer to be super complex. Now, there are games that are a little more simpler, but only marginally. I think most war games have been streamlined and simplified. I don't think, if you have an issue with Warhammer and its complexity, instead of going to another mass battle game, because they're all going to be somewhat similar in complexity, what I would suggest is maybe go to a skirmish game. Go to Malifaux, or Mantic's Firefight, or Brutality, or any of the other ones, because if the complexity of big units of 200 people on the field is too complex for you with all the rules, interactions, etc., it might be a little easier to manage like 5 people. So hopefully the price, the community, the complexity, and the constant rules changes are no longer a problem for you. And it's at this point of the show where I like to thank all my beautiful, sexy, good-smelling Patreon patrons. Look at all these people. My golly, they're salt of the earth. I always like to start with Mike because Mike is the OG, the original leader of the club, and the big dog himself, Mike. And you know, the funny thing is he's the big dog and he's the top dog and he's the alpha, but he's only 1/10 canine. So, I mean, he's technically dog. As for Hero, he's allergic to dogs, but only dogs that are imaginary. So if you're around regular dogs, that's cool. If like a mime has a pet dog, he will break out. So watch that. Grendel got kicked from the county fair for trying to ride a chicken, and it did not go well. I won't tell you the fate of the chicken. Chief Supreme tried to set up an MMO for solitaire, and it did not work out very well. Kevin insists on wearing 3 shirts every single day. One in case he gets wet, one in case he catches fire, and a third one just as a backup. Jordan Johnson loves to give blood to the blood bank, but he does it in a very strange way. He leaves it in a 5-gallon bucket on their step. Peyton Suffering says his favorite Justice League member is Captain America. I'm not going to correct him. Fraudfishy recently just mailed me a dead mouse, and I don't know if it's a compliment or a threat. Saul is very courteous and will never touch the final donut in the box of donuts. Nate goes to bed every single night with his pet bazooka. The Peppers are facing charges of being too kind on the freeway. They let 200 cars pass, just letting them in, letting them in, letting them in, caused a huge traffic jam. Kenneth says he ain't afraid of no ghost. Davich is known locally as the Dancing Man. He dances everywhere. You can hire him for birthdays, funerals, anything. Brendan's part of a cover band called 4 Doors Up. I don't know what they cover. Mitch claims he's invented a smelloscope, and Jupiter smells like strawberries. Anyway, I'll see you guys later.